to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and it's coming up in September. And with us right now, I have Robin Work and I have Jessie Rodrigues. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. And you both are very involved with the walk. And I know, Robin, let's a little bit about your background. You are a long-term care ombudsman with the Office of Aging, and you have been involved with long-term care for years, right?
Yes, I was in long-term care for a little over 18 years, and that's when I first got started with the Alzheimer's Association, when I was working in our memory support unit and just discovered I had a passion for folks who had dementia and other Alzheimer's, and just really wanted to do whatever I could to help things out.
And you sure have over the years, Robin, you really have. And Jessie, you are a community educator with Alzheimer's, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're also wellness director at the YMCA of the Roses, and you also own West End Yoga Studio.
Yes.
Yes, so all tied in with health and wellness, isn't it?
Of course, and you know, that's very important to my heart and very important, of course, to the YMCA of the Roses. So we're really lucky to be partnering with Alzheimer's Association to continue to offer great community health and education.
And it's key. Education is key, isn't it?
Yes.
It really, really is. So when we talk about Alzheimer's, we talk about dementia. Explain how all of this fits together, Jessie.
We actually have a community education seminar just on the intricacies of that. So you can kind of think of dementia as an umbrella term. And there's many different types of dementia with different causes and root causes. So Alzheimer's is just one of those pillars of dementia.
Okay, and how do we define Alzheimer's?
We definitely see a doctor and go through an actual testing for that. Alzheimer's is something that happens over the course of time to the brain, as generally as we age. And it disconnects pieces in the brain and begins to limit cognitive ability, memory, things like that.
Right. And there are so many different facets of that and going in and out of this with your memory, right?
There are a lot. There's definitely day-to-day issues that pop up, but then there's emotional issues, there's support care, and then even in the communities, there's this big need to get more information out to different groups of people in communities. So we've been working really hard to reach as many people as we can, especially those that have limited resources or haven't really gotten the education that they need.
I think you were involved in a recent summit, is that correct?
Yes, we were.
Yeah, tell me about that. What was this?
It was at the San Juan Bautista, and it was the first Hispanic summit that was sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association, and we got to share information about dementia and some of the other resources in the area that are available to individuals.
Okay.
In our Latino community, which makes up 40% of Lancaster, they're one of the groups that they have the littlest ability to capture that information for many, many, many reasons. So it's really important to us that we hit groups of people that really need the information and can benefit the most.
What are some of the resources that we have in the community?
Well, I'm from the Office of Aging, and there are a lot of resources there. We have different departments. We've got our ombudsman department, which is, where I am, and we
explain what that is for those of us who don't know what that
means. The ombudsman, we discovered, is a Swedish term that means legal representative. So I am a resident advocate. So anybody that's in long-term care, whether it's personal care, assisted living, domiciliary care, any of the adult day centers, or nursing, if anyone has some issues that they're struggling with, if anybody feels that their rights are being violated, if any family members don't feel that their family member is getting what they need, then they reach out to us, and we can go in and investigate and help to communicate and get those issues resolved for them. We also have a protective services area. We've got lots of in-home care options too. Speaking of options, one of our programs is options. We have a caregiver support program to help those individuals that are caregivers, because that's a big, big job, and
Absolutely.
it helps to, build them up and give them some options too.
Okay.
Yeah, and through the YMCA of the Roses partnership with the Alzheimer's Association, we've become one of the many places in the community that offer community education programs to try to really fill people in on what to expect, things they can do to prevent, and all of the details in between. We also have a lot of local resources for support groups, and the Alzheimer's Association also has a website and a phone number that you can reach out to learn more about all of the resources.
So what can we do to help prevent Alzheimer's?
Oh, definitely it starts with lifestyle habits and choices. It starts now, no matter where you are in your stage of life and your age. Healthy eating, movement, cognitive activity, being learning, and then also being social too.
Yes.
That's really a big key, isn't it? Being social.
I think you can share a lot as we age what happens.
Absolutely, and we've just come out of this pandemic where so many seniors were isolated, and that was shown to actually increase the process of the disease.
Yeah.
Because depression, while that was growing, that is also, can affect your dementia.
It really can. And Robin, you have been involved with facilities for years, and you have seen a lot. Share just some of that experience.
Yes. There's so much that goes into caring for someone with dementia, but I think the biggest thing is just remembering that they are individuals, they are human beings, they have good days, they have bad days. One of the things that was so important was learning how to communicate with individuals that have dementia, and being able to pick up those little signals that they give out, or if someone's nonverbal but they're acting out in a way, there's a reason for that, and it's not the dementia. It's because they can't communicate what they're feeling, they can't communicate what they want to say. There's so many things that go into that, but just being aware and being educated in what we can do to help make those years that an individual is suffering with that, to help make them as normal as possible.
Yeah. What are things that we need to think about in trying to communicate with someone with Alzheimer's? Because sometimes there's a storyline, or they go back in time or different spaces, and you don't want to get them agitated.
That's really important. That goes back to also support care. There's a huge stigma around Alzheimer's, and it's almost, oh, they're getting dementia. Perhaps that's something that someone says, and the truth is it impacts so many people. So the biggest thing is to just be in the present moment. Don't try to change someone's mind or correct them. And then always find support. As caregivers, there's a huge toll there as well. So I would say, just get out there, get the education, and then have your own support network as well.
That's so key.
I would say the biggest thing is they're doing as good as they can at any given moment.
Right.
So, they can have times of clarity and times where they're really struggling, but just knowing that they're not doing anything deliberately.
Yeah. And we are going for a cure, and that's why we're doing the walk.
Absolutely.
That's right. And now I know, Robin, you have been involved, for at least 15 years?
Yeah, a lot
with
of
teams,
years.
and you've got a couple teams this
2
time.
teams this year, yes.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have a friend of mine who recently passed from the complications of Lewy body dementia, which is another one of those pillars that Jess was talking about. And we have a group from his hometown that we're called Kramer's Crew, and so we're going to be walking for him. And then the Office of Aging is also having a team of our own to walk to help support a cure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm really trying to focus on breaking that stigma and getting more awareness out there, especially with younger people that are going to be the caregivers.
Yes.
honestly within the next 5 to 10 years. So having the information and spreading it out now is going to support this advocacy and strengthen the community and help people.
Absolutely. Makes sense to me. So the date is Saturday, September 24th, nice fall day at Overlook Park, a beautiful location. And if you want to become a part of that, put together a team, we can go where? We can go to the website, right?
Yes.
And we're going to put that up on the screen. It's the local website for the walk. Thank you so much for everything that you do, because two of you are really making a difference in our community. And I think together, all of us can make an even greater difference in our
Absolutely.
community for the good.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daine.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got more coming up. Stay with us.
LCTV 66 is your community channel, and your donations keep us on the air and help to produce more local programs. Send your tax-deductible donation of $500, $100, or more to the address on the screen. Or think of it this way: for the price of a couple of movie tickets, you can help support your community channel. Send what you can and be a part of all that is good about Lancaster County. Thank you for your tax-deductible donation to LCTV 66, Lancaster's Connection.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And with us right now, we have the walk director, of course. We have Frances Gibbons, and this is for the Greater Pennsylvania Alzheimer's, correct?
Correct.
And then we also have from the national presenting sponsor, Edward Jones, Representative Lee Horn. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
And you are also one of the board members.
Correct.
Okay, so we know that the date is Saturday, September 24th, Overlook Park, and we are going to have a great time. It was great last year. The weather's going to be good, and right?
That's right.
We're going to get our teams together and do that too. So Lee, looking at your involvement with this, what brought you into this personally?
So as you said before, Edward Jones is the national presenting sponsor for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. I decided to take it a little bit further and join the board back in June of 2020. I've had a number of clients that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's over the past few years.
Right.
And I've witnessed firsthand what type of financial impact the disease has had on my clients.
Wow. So I know earlier we've talked about, health, but you don't think right away about the whole financial impact, and that's huge, right, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people towards the end of the disease that were paying tens of thousands, between $10,000 and $12,000 a month in care just towards the end of their life. So if people don't have the financial resources to be able to take care of themselves or afford for good help, it can have a huge financial burden on the people that have Alzheimer's and their families.
Absolutely. So what we're looking at a cure, and it is there. We feel that it's there, right? We've seen some progress, but the thing is, it is a pathway, and that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to raise money to make sure that we actually can educate people on how to stay healthy too. Is that right, Frances?
Correct. And through our, Walk to End Alzheimer's program here in Lancaster, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to raise awareness.
Yes.
We're trying to raise funds to help family members that are affected by this, and we can get them education, we can get them the resources, and then even, align with partners like Edward Jones that can help them navigate through this awful journey.
Yeah, and it is the whole family going through it, as well as the individual that may have it as well. So when you look at this, we look at this whole family dynamic and the dynamic that we have with each other. You have resources for that, and reaching the communities is what's key. And the summit we talked about in the first segment took a little while to get together, didn't it?
It did.
Talk about the whole process and progress with that.
So the first Lancaster Hispanic Summit was an inaugural event. We had been for the past 4 or 5 years trying to do some education, especially in our Latino community here in the southeast side of Lancaster. I grew up in that area. I grew up on Woodward Street. I went to Edward Hand Middle School, which is not Edward Hand anymore. Graduated from J.P. McCaskey. So when I came to the association in 2016, I didn't see individuals like myself that understood the resources that Alzheimer's can provide and some of the partnerships that we have, like the Office of Aging. I actually learned a lot during our summit of the resources that they have available to our community here. So it took about 4 or 5 years of continuing to, dig in and get the right connectors and the right people into the room. And then in 2020, we were supposed to have a summit in June of 2020, but it had to get canceled with COVID. And then we continued on pushing through. We had 2 different Latino community forums, both of them bilingual, where we asked the community, what is it that you guys want? And this was one of the first things that they said, we need education in our community.
Yeah.
So we partnered with San Juan Bautista Plaza and a couple of different partners like SACA, Unique
great.
Community, the YMCA of the Roses. Sorry if I forget a couple of partners because I don't have them written down, but we were able to partner together and have the summit where we had over 50 people there that we were able to educate, not only community volunteers and other partners, just to learn a little bit more about the resources that are here in Lancaster to provide care.
That's great. And they're going to tell other people. So you're going to have that ripple effect too.
Yeah.
And I think you see that in what you do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, they definitely do. So the day of
Yes.
the walk, tell us a little bit about how that's going to come together, what to expect, and how that works.
So, like we're saying here, September 24th at Overlook Park. So registration starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you're registered beforehand, then you can sleep in a little bit. But from 9 to 10, we'll have sponsors there, any type of partnerships. We'll have activities for the kids. We're bringing those back this year. Possibly having our dog tent that we've had in the past.
Oh, yeah, right.
We are dog lovers, and dogs do also raise funds for the Alzheimer's Association. So having a couple of activities, we had live music there for entertainment. And then at 10 o'clock, we have our walk ceremony. So we partner with Edward Jones to do a couple of announcements about the impact that Alzheimer's has, especially here in the Lancaster community. And then we'll have our Promise Garden ceremony where we highlight the flowers that we carry.
Yes, tell us about each of those colors.
So we have 4 flowers. We have a purple flower that people carry if they've lost someone to the disease. Yellow if you're a caregiver for someone who's living with Alzheimer's or any other form of dementia. Blue means that you're living with the disease, so it doesn't have to just be Alzheimer's. It could be Lewy body, it could be Parkinson-related dementia. And then orange means that you're an advocate. So we have different stories that are shared and read that day. And then we culminate the ceremony with the white flower, which is the one for hope of a survivor.
Yeah. Now, you have been involved, Lee, for a couple of years, I guess, and as a board member. What have you learned through this, being involved with the Alzheimer's on the board?
I've learned a lot. There's a number of resources that the Alzheimer's Association has to help families through the process to know that they're not in it alone.
Yeah.
Which I think is a big thing.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize how much resource was out there and available to people. Just by connecting them with Fran.
Exactly.
I've had friends that have family members that have had Alzheimer's, connected them with Fran, who put them in with the right type of people, the right doctors. Also just about the research involved and just the overall activism and being out in front of legislation, being able to, push for more funding to hopefully find a cure.
Yeah. And I think it's also so important with the support you have for the family members, too.
Correct.
Address a little bit of that, because that's key, isn't it, Frances?
It is. I mean, as a caregiver myself, sometimes it's difficult, and I caregive for my father who lives with me and my mother who is the primary caregiver, and everyone needs a break, and they need to know that they're not living through this by themselves. So even just reaching out to get resources or even get information now from Office of Aging or any other, adult daycares, long-term care facilities, respite help. We're here to help you navigate through that and not be by yourself.
And I think the key too is to share information
Yeah.
about how to handle situations, because this is new territory for a lot of people. And we're still learning a lot about the disease too.
Correct. And I mean, and even with Jessie, who was here prior, who is doing education for the Alzheimer's Association, teaching people how to communicate with their loved ones, understanding the disease, or people that are just wanting to learn a little bit more about Alzheimer's and dementia, just learning the 10 signs and what you can potentially help somebody else out with.
Absolutely. So maybe we don't have all 10 memorized, but what are some of the signs if people are watching and you're thinking about it?
So memory loss, and I'm not talking about going into a room and forgetting something. I do that at least 2 or 3 times a week. But not knowing what your keys do.
Okay.
That is, not being able to trace down steps as to what you are doing. So someone who loves to cook, and you know that they love to cook, and they no longer can do that recipe, that they didn't even need it. They had it by mind. That's one of those big ones. And then changes in personality is also one that can be drastically one of those changes. If that person used to be outgoing and loved to be outside, and then kind of regress and doesn't like to be out and about anymore, not sociable.
Okay. So it's looking at a group of these, because obviously one isn't, but it's having several of these,
Having several, and then having a conversation, and then talking to your doctor and just being honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can make a difference, and that's why we're doing the walk. And once again, that is on Saturday, and it is September 24th at beautiful Overlook Park. And if we want to get involved and sign up, where do we go, Frances?
act.alz.org/Lancaster 2022, and it's free to register. Come out and have a good time. There are incentives for fundraising, but come out and learn and be with other people that are dealing with this disease. We're here to support you.
Yep, it's a good time together. It really is. Thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you for what you do as well. I think it's really important what you're seeing and what you can do.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you at the walk then too. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.